Computerized Start is brought to you by my awesome patrons on Patreon, and by your tips and memberships on Ko-fi. These and other channel supporters make my live streams possible. You too can become a channel supporter with tiers starting at just $1. And as always, thank you for all your support, including sharing, chatting, liking, and subscribing. Now roll that famous logo animation! Good evening and welcome back to Computerized Start Live. I am your host, Justin D. Morgan, and I think all your theories in the chat are wrong. It's probably way less sinister than you're thinking as to why I was late tonight. I'll give you a hint. It involves me not cleaning the workbench after Tuesday's live stream and slinging a screw in the direction of my oscilloscope. Oh, wait. I think that was the answer, not the hint. Ha ha! It's a Justin with glasses. Yes, it is, because we are soldering tonight. And desoldering. And probably not using Claris, because Claris has been misbehaving. Now, hopefully, those of y'all in the chat will behave tonight. We have Jack68K. Hi, Jack. We have Thomas Armstrong. Hi, Thomas. We have Dave's Vintage Apple Tech. Hi, Dave. We have Frank S. Hi, Frank. We have Foxhound 477. Hello, Foxhound. We have Sadmac356. Hi, Sadmac. We have Jeremy's Vintage Hillbilly Shack. Hi, Jeremy. We have... Do we have anyone else? I thought we had someone else. Oh, we have Kibbs with Retro. Hi, Kibbs. And I got the chat wanting to jump. I'm trying to make sure I don't miss anyone. Let's see here. We have Gut Bomb. Hi, Gut Bomb. And we have Francois. Hi, Francois. All right, let's see here. Francois is asking, anyone need a C64 power supply brick? Well, I have like 3 C64s and like 2 power bricks. But international shipping's probably more than I want to pay on that. Yes, we are going to be working on an Apple II clone tonight. I should have the capacitors here somewhere. Let's see here. You would think that I would have. Let's see here. They are in the Mauser order. I have... Oh. Okay, you would think I would be able to find the ceramic capacitors very easily. Apparently not. Alright. Oh, hopefully this is not a case that Mauser forgot to send them to me. Let's see. No, those are tantalum. What did I order tantalum caps for? Tantalum caps. Aluminum electrolytic. Tantalum capacitors. Wait a minute. I think this might be the wrong Mauser. Oh! That's why I can't find them in this bag. This is the wrong Mauser order. That's completely the wrong bag of parts for Mauser. All right. Let's see if I can find the correct bag of parts for Mauser. Um, Wait a minute. No, hold on. I knew I would do this, so I outsmarted myself, and now I've done it. I thought I now remember putting the capacitors beside this board so that I would find them and not be looking for a Mauser bag. See, I outsmarted myself. One moment, please. Now, maybe next time I'll remember that if I try to outsmart myself, I will outsmart myself, so I shouldn't outsmart myself so that I don't outsmart myself. Got it? Good. Neither did I. All right, let's see here. Any other comments in the chat that need to be addressed now that I have found the capacitors that I. Jeremy's telling me that continuity testing will guide you, and I wholeheartedly disagree on this board because it's all measuring as a short. And I don't think my multimeter is sensitive enough to go to that level. Unfortunately, my multimeter doesn't have enough, like, it's not sensitive enough to try to find the exact capacitor that's shorted. And besides, Jeremy, all these tantalums need to go because they shouldn't be here. So we're just going to pull them all. Now, maybe once I remove them, we might actually, if there's still something shorted, the continuity testing might. Um, Jeremy's saying checking for shorts at the power supply connector is probably the way to start. Well, Jeremy, I've already done that. We had this board on the bench 2 weeks ago, and that's how I found that there was a short on it. I started with the power supply connector. So that's how I know there's a short on the 12-volt rail. And I tried finding the capacitor, but my multimeter doesn't have the precision to do it. And I absolutely refuse to buy a Kaiweets multimeter. Partly because I have like at least two multimeters already. Let's see here. Yeah, Jack says maybe the ants are keeping Justin from being able to stream. No. Oh, maybe the tantalums are keeping Justin from being able to stream. No, no, it was me slinging a screw from the compact LTE 286, and I needed to make sure it wasn't in the oscilloscope in case I need to use the oscilloscope. Yeah, thanks autocorrect for sure, Jack. Although I still liked pants, although you should know, bib overalls or nothing. ah, ah. Yeah, autocorrect had a temper tantalum. Let's see here. We've got soldering glasses. Yes, they are soldering glasses. Is that like driving gloves? Somewhat. Let's see here. Francois says I shouldn't be still be sorting out old junk at Fabrico at 3 a.m. Let's see here. Yeah. Gutbom's asking, is this computer or the other one? This is the other one. Gutbom says those Kaiweets ones are suck anyways. But I mean, I got my X Tech. Oh, and hi, Will. There we go. Will K-Mac Vintage is here. Yeah, I got my X Tech that at least has one redeeming feature, and that's the clamp. This multimeter's clamp works on DC as well. That's not the case on all clamp multimeters, but on this one, does AC and DC on the clamp. That's worth something. Jesse, hi Jesse. We got I8386 saying the other computer. Yes. Yes, yes. All right, let's see here. Let's go through the final announcements. All right. The coffee goal there for eBay regrets is right there. Links in the description. eBay's probably stopped worrying about me for the immediate moment because I did buy a potential regret today. Because I just finally decided I was going to buy it because why not? You're on the Macintosh Friends Discord, you know what it is already because I have no self control and there were other things going in the look what I found. So yes, it it is an 8-bit computer. So there you go. And I think that's about it. So let's get to the table cam. And I have so I've got two boards here. Oh, and I think that's another screw from the 286 computers, or the LTE 286. So I'm going to have to set that to the side. You know, what would be the chances that's the screw I thought I slung to the other side of my workbench? Maybe maybe I didn't actually sling it that far. All right, well, I'll put that with the 286. So I have the Apple II Plus clone board that I bought on eBay, the place where I buy things I later regret. And for the record, I might regret that 8-bit computer I bought today too, because it it's an 8-bit computer and it includes the original box. So we're already off to enough potential regrets. I think enough potential regrets to float a boat, a big boat, because yeah, there's so many ways that could still go wrong. Oh, so wrong. Ah, Jeremy says, once I get some extra money, I may start buying regrets of the Soviet kind. ZX Spectrum clones. Capcom says, you'll love it, Justin. Well, I certainly hope so, because William Shatner made some pretty bold claims in the advertisement, and I'm going to hold him to them. Plays great games under $300. So I got the under $300 part because luckily you can still get them for under $300. So I'm going to have to see if William Shatner lied to me by saying it plays great games. We may also have to see if it can really help me manage the household budget too. And, and yes, that might have been a clue as to which computer it was. Yeah, Jeremy says I have one VIC 20 in pieces. Well, I'm hoping my VIC 20 doesn't. Oh well. You all probably knew by the time I said William Shatner. Yeah, I'm hoping mine doesn't arrive in pieces. It was under $300. In fact, before shipping, it was under $100. I think it looked like it was in decent shape. Gutbomb says those are rock solid machines. Well, I hope so. Anyways, so we have the Apple II Plus clone board here. It has gone through the ultrasonic cleaner, only because it had quite the flux caked on it. And I rinsed it like I normally do, and actually there is a buildup on it now. So I have no idea what that buildup is all about. Sadback says, manage the household finances, probably. Yeah. Great games, in the context of time, maybe. Yes. Yes, as Jeremy's pointing out as to why it was not a huge secret. Yes, William Shatner was the VIC 20, and he who shall not be named is the TI 99 4A. And to think, yes, Texas Instruments, in the long term, looking at who they picked as their advertising spokesman, Texas Instruments didn't quite pick wisely when we look at it through the forward looking glasses. Commodore apparently couldn't keep up with the industry. But they picked a great spokesperson. I mean, come on. William Shatner talking the VIC 20. I think they should have tried to get him back for the Commodore 64, but instead they had to go for the Keeping Up with the Commodore song, which probably, actually, I don't want to know how much that cost them. That was either an internal job or they paid some marketing agency a boatload of money to write that song. And you know it. Okay, so we still have the short on the 12-volt rail. I really did not expect. Yeah, Jeremy says, I bet some old TI execs were facepalming themselves after a certain conviction. Yeah, that is quite possibly true. Whereas maybe some old Commodore execs were going like, yes, when they saw William Shatner launch into space and come back safely. Just like, yeah, our spokesperson rocks. Or maybe I should have said our spokesperson rockets. Kepom says, I met William Shatner at a convention once. He wasn't very nice. But did he talk like this? Actually, I know this story. The real reason why William Shatner delivered his lines like that is because, at least the story I've heard is, the script writers were still busy writing scripts as they were trying to shoot the shows, and I guess the scripts were coming up a bit light on how long they needed to be to fill the show. So William Shatner was directed to kind of stretch his lines out. So, like, that's the story I've heard. Now, is it true? I don't know. Could just be a rumor. But then again, though, given if the dialogue they had in the show really was what they had, I could see them being concerned about being able to have a long enough episode with what they had. But I could definitely see it being conceivable that they had writers still writing scripts for episodes as they were shooting them, because I guess they did underestimate how popular that show would be. So, Gutbum says, I would still rather meet him than the TI-99 guy. Yep. Jeremy says, you can't go wrong with Captain Kirk. Yeah, just don't cross Paramount, or even as William Shatner found out, Captain Kirk can be given a brutal end to his Star Trek TV and movie continuance. Ah, yes, or T.J. Hooker, if you know of a certain police drama. All right, so I think, because these tantalum these should be non-polarized caps, because none of these pads have polarity markings. Jack says, I think my mom watched that show. I am just going to remove all these tantalum caps. I will do it one by one. Unless I could, actually, let's start with removing the ones on the 12-volt rail. That makes sense. We'll remove the ones on the 12-volt rail. I'm going to replace them all because I'm fairly sure they should be non-polarized caps. I'm fairly sure that, statistically speaking, half of them are probably in backwards. Assuming it's in a circuit that has a polarity that it could be installed into. All right, so I think this middle pin on the bottom, if you're facing the power connector from the front of the case, I believe that's 12 volts. And we do have a short, so I'm pretty sure that's correct. All right. Okay, so this cap is on 12 volts, so we'll remove that one. Oh, wait, or is that actually a ground pin? Nope, nope, that's plus 12 volts. Actually, no, I don't think that one's on. Nope, that one is on 12 volts. So so we'll remove this one here. And okay, that one's already been removed. Okay, so that one needs to be removed. Yep, and that one, and that one, and that one. Okay, so all these are on 12 volts. That one's on 12 volts. Okay, that one there is on 12 volts. So is that one, and that one, and that one, and that one. Actually, most of these are on 12 volts. All right. I guess we're just going to remove them all. Jeremy says, my wife watches that show occasionally, probably for the same reasons we are into vintage computers. Yeah, nostalgia for TV shows is nostalgia. We all have our nostalgic things. All right, so I'm just going to start removing these one by one. And for the capacitors that have huge, gigantic blobs of solder on the top of the board, I'm just I'm going to actually use some desoldering braid on the top side of the board too. To get some of these huge blobs of solder on. Hi, Joe. Joe says, boop. Yes, I am going. You know, okay. Well, that capacitor just kind of broke. So it's now no longer completing the circuit. So after each capacitor, I will see if our 12-volt short is still here. And it most certainly is. Actually, I think I got a quicker way to do this. All right. So I will, because I want to clean up the leads anyways. I will melt the solder and then I will pull the one of the pins out. Actually, no, I think I got a faster way to do this. Because the solder's cruddy. I'll cut the pins and then I'll pull the pins out. All right. Let's see if we can find the one that's shorted. I'll do the cut pins and then pull method. I think that's going to be the best one. All right. Still have a short. Still have a short. More than one of these might be shorted. Oh, that one's already not in circuit. There we go. Now that one's out of circuit. Because if I do this and still don't find the short, then I might have to find something else that's shorted. All right. The resistance at the 12-volt terminal is going up. Oh. Yeah, now we're at like 0.5 ohms. Yeah, that was just probably my multimeter's imprecise resolution. Joe says, "Hi, Joe." Joe says, I'm hanging in Discord voice chat, watching Justin on low volume, and installing Windows 11 on an old laptop. You know, the usual. All right, well, that's not it. All right, is that one it? Oh, okay, now we're up to like 1.2 ohms. So we are really going in the correct direction. Ah, yes. And don't forget to place your orders at jcm-1.com. Oh, because it's not too late to place your order now for shipping on Monday. And also, don't forget to check out the new product from Ron's computer videos. Although, interestingly enough, he didn't leave a phone number to call to order the LPs or cassettes or 8 tracks. I don't know why. Okay, now the resistance is going down again. Okay, I'm about to give this board my final offer of I'm just going to clip all these tantalum capacitors. Well, still a short. Ooh, that one's between two sockets. That one's going to be fun. Okay. All right. This capacitor, I'm going to have to remove the old fashioned way because it's between two sockets. And I cannot get my side cutters between the sockets. So I will have to remove the solder. What's the chances I'll find that the problem is more like Adrian Black's Apple II clone board he had than I want to admit? Oh, thank you. Thank you, Dave. Dave has contributed towards the regrets fund for the month. Yay! Thank you, Dave. I have some regrets in mind. They might be regretful. Is Radar Rat Race regretful? I don't remember. Oh, that capacitor wasn't it. I don't remember which is the game that like Adrian Black loves to hate. The music in Radar Rat Race certainly is. Yep, okay, that's the one I was thinking of. Oh, wait a minute. Did I? All right, I think I finally found the shorted capacitor. I now no longer have a short on the 12-volt rail. Seemingly. Jeremy says yes, Radar Rat Race was a bad one. But William Shatner says it plays great games. Yeah, I found the shorted capacitor. Oh, thank you, Jack. Let the regrets begin. All right. Yeah, it was this capacitor right here in the clock circuit. That must have been the shorted tantalum capacitor. Which doesn't bode well if something else is shorted down here, but Hopefully that didn't take out anything with it. But yes, for anyone thinking that, no, Justin, those can't be tantalum capacitors, you are totally imagining that someone would put tantalum capacitors on an Apple II Plus clone board. Well, okay, so my light is interfering with the polarity marking some, but there you go. That is okay. So it's not the greatest view, but there you go. You can see that that is definitely a polarized cap. Because there's the stripe for the positive terminal. I mean, on the right side, I think they use 35-volt rated ones, but they should have used ceramic caps. Just saying. Oh, thank you, Gutbomb. Get blue memories from outer space and Omega Race. All right. Blue meanies from outer space and Omega Race. All right. Yes. I'll have to let me actually let's see. I was watching an eBay auction because it had like four. I may find another auction that has a better selection of games, but let's see what. Oh, oh, yep. Not going to be bidding on that one tonight. Price has gone up on that. Ooh, an hour and 51 minutes. I may bid on that motherboard. All right. Let me sort my. What was the games in the set? There we go. I had my list sorted by ending soonest. Oh yeah, it was someone has four carts listed. Radar Rat Race, Raid on Fort Knox, The Sky is Falling, and Super Smash. Something tells me that those might all be fairly regrettable now that I look at them. Would Red Fox's catchphrase, "Ya big dummy," be in order for whoever installed those tantalum capacitors? Quite possibly. I mean, if they had, like, maybe figured out the polarity for all of them. Yeah, I don't know why the board did this because I actually have fairly new ultrasonic cleaner solution in there, but it, like, yeah, it developed a film. I'm about to put it back through the ultrasonic cleaner and rinse it even better. Oh, maybe that's it. Maybe I didn't actually rinse this board well enough because it was getting late. Oh, that's right. Okay, I remember what I did. That's probably a result of what I did. So it was getting late on the stream when I showed this off. So I didn't do my normal drying process. I did rinse it a little better because I had, if you remember from that stream, I had admitted I didn't rinse it as well as I should have, but I didn't I let it air dry instead of like doing something that would have more quickly dried it. That might have resulted in it forming that. Oh, thank you, Jesse. Peer pressure, gonna peer pressure. Yes, yes. I'm gonna have to. IPA might help that. Yeah, that might also do it. So let's do a test of this capacitor. This is the one that I thought was shorted, and that is definitely a shorted tantalum capacitor. Yep. All right. And is that capacitor shorted because it got installed backwards? Now, I do happen to know that looking on the board. Ah, yes. I see exactly what they did. So, the positive lead was here, and the negative lead was here. But I can very clearly see on the board that this pad here goes to the 12-volt pin on the power supply connector. Yep. And that one's going to be ground. Yep. That tantalum capacitor was installed backwards. And I suspect there's probably more of them just like that. We are going to remove them all and replace. Coffee tips are an investment in future entertainment. Yes. Jeremy says that tantalum should go in file 13. Yes, it will eventually go into file 13, but not before caps can be seemingly installed backwards if it's a negative voltage. However, Jeremy, it is not a negative voltage. That was on the plus 12-volt rail. So that one was installed backwards. Yes, if it was on the negative rail, it might seem backwards. But that one was installed backwards. Huh. Also, whoever installed these capacitors used an excess of solder. That should probably say something that I have to solder wick on both sides of the board because of how much solder they used. Jeremy's asking, how did the silly thing work with a backward cap? Definitely a what the moment. Yes. Well, Jeremy, I don't know if it worked with the backwards cap. It was sold as untested. Which could mean that the seller actually didn't test it. It could mean the seller tested it and it failed testing. Your guess is as good as mine. Because mine is going to be the cynical guess of they tested it and it didn't work. Because I think on eBay, untested really means seller doesn't want to admit what it did. Yes, I recently listed some Apple II cards and well, one of them I could not completely test, but if you go look at the description, you will see that I put, oh no, oh, this is a disaster. Oh, well, we have collateral damage. The crystal oscillator fell off. Great. Yeah, on eBay, untested translates to doesn't work. And it broke at the absolute worst place. All right, I may have. It is not a complete showstopper because this board probably is a clone that uses the same parts as the Apple II Plus. So I suspect I will be able to replace that crystal with one I can steal off of an Apple II Plus board I have here that's parts. But I will probably also have to. I will probably also have to replace the um, transistors as well because the transistors are matched to the crystal, and if the clone manufacturer used a different crystal than Apple, then I'll probably have then I will probably have to. Oh, did I get that pin? Oh, I guess I did get that pin. All right. All right. Well, I guess I might as well go ahead and remove those pins too while I'm down here. If I get this working, does that mean the end of computer? No, it does not mean the end of computer. No, computer will still get its repair attempt. No, it will mean I will have gotten some practice on an equally cheap Apple II Plus clone board that hopefully the experience will translate into a more successful repair of computer. I will still repair a computer. Because there's one important thing about this clone. This clone, notice what ROMs it's using. This was one of those clones that was sold as a install your own Apple ROMs because those are all, as far as I can tell, those are actually Apple mask ROMs. I have no reason to believe that they aren't because some of these clone boards were sold that way if you had to source your own ROMs. Now, did someone take those ROMs out of a broken Apple II Plus, or did they find a buddy at an authorized Apple repair center to kind of like hook them up? Well, now that that I will leave up to the imagination of the viewer because I don't know. I mean, you've had warranty work done on your Apple II Plus, and Apple removed the or Apple replaced the motherboard. I'm pretty sure that the ROMs from that were supposed to go back to them with the rest of the board. But I mean, did they always? Yes, Jack says, oh, I missed some good chat here. Yet Samak says there are exceptions to untested equals doesn't work, but go into it with the expectation it doesn't work. Jack says computer will live again or else. Yes. This Jesse says does it only mean the beginning of computer? Yes, this could be the beginning of computer living again. Samak says, as far as I'm concerned, this getting fixed is just the beginning of computer. Yes, exactly. Jeremy says, here's something that I've done in the past and it usually works. Look at what's being difficult, shake your fist at it, and declare, I will win. It's amazing when it stops being difficult. Yeah, as long as you don't accidentally like ram your hand into a brick wall and uh break it. But I don't know. I had a fun problem I was trying to troubleshoot at work. I did finally figure out what the problem was, but it was probably something I should have suspected a lot sooner than I did. On the bright side, the what I was working on is probably just a slight bit better than it was when I started debugging it. But just say that yeah, I finally figured out what the problem was. All right, come on, cast. Oh, that's not the capacitor I'm trying to wiggle. Yeah, all right. It does help that if you're trying to wiggle the capacitor out, to actually put your fingers on the capacitor and not the transistor that's right beside the capacitor. Don't worry, I don't think I did anything to the transistor because my brain was getting suspicious as to why it was not coming out so quickly as I thought it should. Yes, the reason I am not using Claris is because I think I've pretty much figured out the heater and the handle is not working correctly again. Arg. Oh, that's got solder on it. Yes, whoever soldered these tantalum capacitors on put like way too much solder on them. When it gets to the point that you've got huge solder mounds on both sides of the board, you've probably used too much. Also, I think I might have lost a pad, but it's okay. Luckily, the one I lost, I think I can solder it on the top because actually think the I don't think there's no trace on the bottom to have held the pad. The problem with these cheap boards. What's with the Jack's asking what's up with the sections of this board that look like a breadboard PCB? It's a breadboard on the PCB. I think the clone manufacturers did that because the original Apple II had a little prototyping area. Okay. Yeah, I lost a pad there, but the V is still there. But the thing is the trace is on the top side, so I think that's exactly why it just I was having trouble getting the solder out. So anyways, That's repairable. Yeah, there's no traces going to them. It is a prototyping area. Computers got these same prototyping areas. Oh, actually, that reminds me. Let me pull up the. Now, I am not, repeat, not going to buy this. So if one of y'all wants to buy it out from under my watch list, by all means, go right ahead. That's why I'm going to gladly show you it. If I can find it here real quick. However, I should probably share it to exceedingly overpriced electronics. Because I think they might be asking just a bit too much for it at the moment. Either that or I got one heck of a deal on my computer. All right. So I think the other day I'd said I had not seen a computer like computer. Well, I do not like the changes eBay has done. So, okay, so the keyboard, I almost went right by this because the case didn't look the same. The keyboard doesn't look the same. Although I did catch the fact it said made in Japan. But anyways, I started looking at it and then I happened upon the motherboard pictures and notice the yellow silk screen. I'm like, wait a minute. I'd better look at this a bit closer because yellow silk screen is unique. And then I saw it. It's not the same font that's on computer, and it definitely doesn't have the same ROMs in it, but it says MCA, made in Japan. So I have finally seen a computer like computer. And there it is. I think it might just be another spin of the board that they changed the font, but there it is. MCA made in Japan. I found it. I mean that looks like computer. It even there's the prototyping area that like computer has, and this one appears to have a more standard Apple connector than computer does. Yeah, Jack's asking. I wonder if it says computer on startup. Unfortunately, they don't show the startup banner on any of the photos. They only show this photo where obviously they, I don't know what they did. Ready go. Hey System Store is their, I think that's their eBay seller name. So yeah, they did something to watermark it, but this is totally computer. Except I don't know. Oh, and then of course I also saw this, and I haven't talked myself in or out of it yet. But here's this SE30 that this seller found in an abandoned house, and I would like to ask you all, what in the world? It looks like this thing had a battery go off outside of it. I probably won't actually bid on this because actually, oh no, that's not the telling one. Some people were trying to get the big bad biologist to buy this, but notice, I think it looks like it's had something go off inside of it too, like majorly, because that frame looks so rusted. I mean, look at this thing. I may have to let John just totally have that one, but I am watching it. But what happened to this Mac? Honestly, I'll probably let John go for it because he's the biologist and he can probably do the sampling to try to figure out what in the world that residue is. Is it a new fungus that we haven't discovered yet? We could name it the big bad the big bad biologist, big bad workbench eye fungus. It's certain. Okay, Jeremy says rust and or nicotine residue. Jack says it might have had something living in it. You would have to fumigate it. uh yeah, I did look at that picture and kind of thought it did kind of look like um something I don't really want to touch. I mean, it would be the time where I might have to put some of the like the what do they call that training? The the bloodborne pathogens training to use. Which for us basically is instructing us to um walk around it, put a barricade up so that no one else walks through it, and then call for help. So, yeah, ugh. I probably won't buy it, so don't worry. Oh, hi Foxhound, welcome. Yes, yeah, yeah. I don't know what happened to that Mac. It is a very sad Mac. I am going to just think happier thoughts, and that's just simply rust from the inside that's leaching outside. Although that's not really a happy thought. And I'm sorry, trying to channel my inner Bob Ross of happy little accidents is not working. Yes, I do sometimes watch Potential Regrets, and that SE30 looks like a it looks like a potential regret and a half. It looks like a potential tetanus shot, actually. Actually, it probably honestly looks like a if you buy that thing, you should probably go ahead and get the tetanus booster before you start working on it. I am working on an Apple II clone motherboard that I bought on eBay, and I am removing the tantalum capacitors that someone installed for some strange reason. I haven't figured out why, but previous owner apparently installed tantalum caps where ceramics were. Unfortunately, they installed at least one of them backwards. And they did the worst soldering job ever replacing them. So I am just removing them all and am going to install ceramics back in their place, which is probably what should have been on this board to begin with. Because tantalum capacitors installed backwards, that's just a recipe for them eventually that they'll eventually short if they're installed backwards. Yeah, Jack's saying whoever wins, and that's in air quotes. That auction needs to open it on stream. Well, I'll tell you this: if I do decide to bid on it and I win it, then I probably will go get my tetanus booster shot. And if John bids on it and wins it, Dave says I will if I win it. Open it on stream or get a tetanus booster shot first. or both. Dave says both. Yeah, that's what I figured. Jesse says, if I knew remotely anything about them, I would bid on it. I did get a booster earlier this year. Yeah, yes, believe me, if I do decide to bid on that, the potential copay for a tetanus booster shot will be factored into my what I bid on it. Although that might, I'll have to look. That might actually be covered. Jack says that's going to be a parts machine for sure, but it's not clear which parts are salvageable. Maybe some screws or the flat pack or something. Yeah, I would be afraid that depending on how rusty the frame is, that it might not survive shipping because actually, I don't know if you saw it, but the corner, one of the front corners of it is cracked. So, first Mac 2.0. Yeah, if I wanted, I'd probably end up having to put an SE motherboard in it just because that's the closest thing I'd have. Dave says I have an SE30 motherboard to put in it. No, I probably won't bid on it. Instead, I'll um I'll find another regret. Although I do look for the repair challenges. I do occasionally look for those on eBay. This one I guess might have been in lumped in my repair challenge bucket because I knew it needed some work because it had a missing ROM and a a broken socket. But eh, Cut Pump says replacing the board is the cheater's way out. Yeah, well, then I guess technically I cheated in repairing my Apple II Plus, but I mean, I still have the original board, so maybe I might fix it someday. But unfortunately, I did try to start removing the slots, and that did not go entirely successfully. And I still haven't removed the first slot I tried to remove. And yeah, all right. So, so I have managed to remove in the span of an hour. Okay, I've been going for an hour. 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Oh, okay. Looks like I've about have a dozen of them off. Of course, I think I'm about to get to the point where there's a whole bunch here in a very small amount of space. Don't forget to smash that like button if you like to see me try to restore 8-bit computers and sometimes even their clones that the manufacturer probably would prefer you've not known about. Subscribe and turn on notifications because, well, I'll have more content like this in the future. I always live stream Tuesdays and Thursdays. And yeah, don't forget to smash that like button. Helps the YouTube algorithm know to recommend my content to others. All right. And let's see here. Next week, haven't entirely decided what to look at next week. So let me see here. I had a couple ideas. I have. Oh, that's right. I think probably. Okay, so I think one stream next week. I think I've got at least a PC motherboard that I was going to see if I could. Actually, I might have to check that. Oh wait, I might have ruined that one already. I forgot. I replaced some caps on the one of the boards I was going to look at on a stream. I did that this weekend because I was feeling like doing something, and I so instead of waiting for a stream to do it, I did it this weekend and recorded it. So it'll probably be a video. Let me see. I think I got another board that I ordered caps for. Uh, oh no, I think that's just a giant ball of solder. Ah, very good. Okay, got scared there for a moment because that capacitor had a giant ball of solder on it. I thought I might have pulled the pad, but no, that's just how much solder was on the cap. And there's still solder in the via too. You know, it is entirely possible that a poor soldering job might have prevented more of these capacitors from being shorted than there are. So let me see here. What was the. Yeah, I was trying to think of what. All right. Well, I will get back to my thoughts on what I might do next week if I can remember. What I've got some parts I recently ordered to. Oh, that's right. Um, yes. Okay. So probably one of the streams will be the IBM portable personal computer because I got the go ahead to do the recap on it. So I'll probably stream that for that might actually be I might do that Tuesday so that I have enough time to do it because that thing's a little bit painful to take apart. But yeah, I did get the go ahead to recap it. So that'll probably be one of the streams. Yeah, I'd definitely like to get that computer back so that it's not in the way in the basement. That'll probably be one of the streams. You need the old Radio Shack back. Yes. Yeah, actually, one thing I did for that computer is because when I saw how much the caps cost, I actually went ahead and just ordered caps for it. Because I figure, well, if I don't get the approval, then I'll probably still be able to use the caps. So, like, so I so I actually have the capacitors for that. So I'll be able to actually work on that without having to wait for the capacitors. Because if I had to wait for the capacitors, then it would be Thursday before I could work on it because I wouldn't have had the chance to place the order today. Yep, I miss Radio Shack too, Jack. I wish it was as simple as maybe having the 80s call and then Radio Shack would be back because the 80s misses Radio Shack. But let me see. What was the other thing I was thinking of working on next week? I'll have to look through the parts because I ordered some parts from. Worst comes to worst, I will maybe pull. I've got an in-wind case that I recently. Well, I think I got it last month. I just haven't shown it yet. Although the thing is, it's been sitting behind me this entire time for the past couple weeks. It's just kind of hard to tell exactly what it is because it looks like yet another beige case from the side. But I did get an IIe A500 case. And worst comes to worst. So assuming I don't realize what the other thing I was going to do next week is, I may pull the IIe A500 out and kind of inspired by Gut Bomb actually. I am going to attempt to do a second PC rebuild would probably be might be the wrong term because unlike my first PC where I tried to take pictures of it back in the day, albeit very badly, I never took photos of my second computer. However, I do know I had an IIe A500 case because that's kind of that's kind of one detail that's kind of hard to forget because that was a very unique case. And I also know about what I had in it at one point. So I'm going to attempt to do a what I'm going to attempt to do a period correct build that could have been something that I put in my second PC. Because I remember when I built it, I used a Super Socket 7 board and I had an AMD. I probably started with a K6 2. I may have eventually upgraded it to a K6 3, but those are kind of hard to get these days and not cost an arm and a leg, a kidney, and a spleen, and a retina. So we'll do the K6 2. And I probably have a video card that's maybe a good approximation of what I might have put in it. And we'll kind of go from there. So that's one stream that'll be upcoming, and I might start that next week if I can't remember what the other thing I had thought about working on was. And when I work on that, I may do that in tandem with, there's like one thing I want to do regarding my first PC rebuild. I wanted to try to run some what if benchmarks. Jesse says, good luck finding my first computer for under 300. Oh, good luck finding my second computer for under 300 bucks. I found one very close to it. Yeah, mine would probably be kind of hard to get for under 300 total. In-win cases usually go for more than I wanted to spend. So when I found one that got listed on eBay for a more reasonable price, although it has issues. Although I'm hoping I can clean it up. Worst comes to worst, I'll just have to repaint the lid. Someone someone wrote something on it with a Sharpie marker. I'm hoping maybe I can get it out of the paint without too much trouble, or at least get it most of the way out so it's not like painfully obvious that it says some person's server and some person I've never met before. That Gut Bump says Justin just can't be satisfied with the Wonder Computer of the 1980s, and usually less than $300. And Jeremy says my second computer was a custom build, but my first PC is easier to find. Well, actually, both my first and second computer were custom built, so yeah, that kind of makes it, that right there off the bat makes it harder to get, because they were both custom built. And of course, here's the, now my second computer would then lead to my third computer, but I built in that same in-win case. So I'm probably not going to find another in-win case, though. I'll do something else. Because there's where we get maybe a bit more nebulous as to exactly what I had, but it's also getting to the point where at that point it's kind of newer than I usually dabble, so that's kind of where I'm probably just going to not worry about putting that one in a case. Yep, up says my second computer was a K62 450 with Matrox G200 and a Diamond Monster sound. Jeremy said mine has had the now famous NV1 card. Gut Bombs was in a generic case. Jack says my first computer was my family's old Apple II GS. Yeah, that makes it a bit easier to actually get, because now you just get an Apple II GS. Yeah, my second computer was an AMD K6. It would have started as a K62, I'm pretty sure. Unfortunately, I don't remember what speed it was, so I'll probably just, I'm actually tempted to like split the difference, because I know I had a K63 in it at some point. So I'm probably going to split the difference, and I think I've got a K62 500 or something like that. And I'm probably just going to split the difference, and I'll use the K62 500 as like the, all right. kind of the middle ground between whatever K62 I had and then whatever K63 I probably had. But K63s don't go for as cheap because they're more desirable these days for people doing a ultimate super socket 7 build. So I may just go for the K62 I already have and be done with it. I remember I had some absolutely awful sound card. It was some like 3D wavetable deal. And I don't know exactly how 3D it was, and I definitely know that wavetable, yeah. Um Whoever made the card should have probably been investigated by the FTC for their use of wavetable, but that's beside the point. I think it was a software wavetable card. And not a very good one at that. Oh, no, wait. No. I don't think it was a software wavetable now that I think about it. No, I think it actually had a hardware wavetable, but I think it was that like QS1000 or wavetable chipset, which just is awful. I think I did kind of figure that out after watching enough YouTube videos. That no, I think I actually did have a wavetable card. It was a very bad wavetable. And video card. Now that's where I gotta put my thinking cap on as to what I might have had. It might have actually been a Trident Blade 3D for all I know. Y'all probably knew a Trident card would enter into the equation at some point. Although it might have been an S3 of some sort too. But the reason why I think it might have been a Trident Blade 3D, the kind of as I think about it, is I seemingly remember that the video card I had in that computer had a TV out that I never used, but I seemingly remember it was there. And I also think I've seen Trident Blade 3D cards that had a TV out on it. But the thing is, at the computer shop, we sold enough of those that, quite honestly, that kind of doesn't help me think of what might have been in it because I was already handling enough of those cards as it was building other systems. So, did I have that box in my hand at home because I was building a computer with it? Or is it because I had like 30 plus of those boxes in my hand over the course of several months because I was putting them in customer systems? So, therein lies the problem. Does it seem familiar because I owned one, or does it seem familiar because I built dozens of systems with it? Or both? Both could also be the correct answer. Yeah, because normally the normally the boards we used at the computer shop were still in like what I would call retail-ish packaging. because we definitely weren't big enough where we were buying like a OEM quantity where it just came in like bulk packed, a bulk packed like box of like 20 of them. Plus, I mean, we did have a small retail area where we set some stuff on shelves at the front so that people could walk in and browse them. So it was nice that they were actually in a retail box in some cases. It made for a nice little display at the front of the store. And I'm pretty sure those Trident Blade 3D cards were on the display at one point because they were in these really nice looking boxes from Jayton. Yeah, let's see here. I'm going to catch up here in the chat. Looks like I missed all right. So Jack says, my second computer was a Power Mac 7300 200 that I bought when I went to college. Yes, I actually went back because after I graduated college, I had a very fast succession of Power Mac computers. And I went back through my old emails because I actually have some emails back to after graduating college, although unfortunately not enough to have found the email from eBay, the place where I buy things I later regret, even back to graduating college. I unfortunately didn't keep the email from where I bought the or didn't keep the email from where I bought the Power Mac. I'm pretty sure I bought it on eBay. But I did find where I bought an a part for it. So I definitely had a 7300, 7500, or 7600 at one point. I also, I think the other day, said that I thought I had a G3 desktop at one point, one of the beige ones. I was actually wrong because I actually did find the eBay email from where I bought that back in like, I'm not going to say which year. It was right after graduating college. I actually had a G3 tower, a beige G3 tower, but I didn't have that for very long either. So I'm not sure if I had the 7300, 7500, or 7600 because the eBay email I found where I bought an accessory for it, it was actually for a G3 upgrade for this the one of those three Macs. Which no, unfortunately, I sold it on eBay probably months later. So I know it wasn't a and I don't think I had a 7200 because I seemingly remember it had PCI slots. So but I didn't have it for very long because then I bought the G3 Tower. Probably because, well, it had more expansion options. But I don't think I had that very long because then at some point later that year, I bought a Firewire 800 brand new. So, and then, but between all that, because yeah, I did admit to rapid succession of computers. I actually, so I bought the Power Macs because I was trying to dabble in Mac after graduating. But I also did at that point, after graduating, attempt to build a new PC. And that build failed miserably. And let's just say that one reason it failed miserably is because the G3 was faster than that Pentium 4 system at certain things. Which is why I broke down and just bought a Power Mac G4 FireWire 800 and sold the PC parts. So there, now you know when I switched to Mac. It was after trying to build a Pentium 4 system after graduating college, and it was awful, and it had an unreliable RAID controller on it, and my Power Mac G3 beige tower ran circles around it. So I switched to Mac. There you go. Why I bought a FireWire 800. Then I didn't buy another computer for several years. So, uh, Foxhound says mine was IBM computer. Jack says I did pimp out my 2GS with a SCSI card, 105 megabyte hard drive, and 4 megabytes of RAM. Oh, that would have been a nice 2GS. Jeremy says I bought my second computer from Goodwill Computer Works, and it was a paltry Pentium 200 MMX. Jeremy says it's the computer I created my Yahoo and Hotmail accounts on. Jack asks, does everyone still have their first and second computers? I do not. I do not have those actual computers. I don't even have like the first and second family computers. Uh, I don't have. I don't even have the Power Mac 72, 73 or 73, 75, 7600 because that got sold by the G3 Tower, which got sold to buy the FireWire 800, which got sold eventually to buy the next one. So no, I don't have any of those original computers. Now, I've got the rebuilt first computer. I have I do have a FireWire I do have a FireWire 800 again, but they're not the originals. Jack says I don't have 100% of the plastic of the 7300. Yeah, that's for sure. Uh, Jeremy says my second PC went through 2 or 3 motherboards. Yeah, I think mine went through like 2 motherboards. My second PC. I did eventually though. That second motherboard, I had to I had to eventually buy a new case for it because the way the power supply was mounted in the A500 and the way it was blowing air in the case was interfering with the ability of the processor cooler to remove heat from the, at that point, I think Athlon XP processor I had in it. So I ended up having to put it in an entirely new case. And I probably sold the A500 to pay for that, of course. I sold it on eBay, probably. Jack says, even though I have these computers still, there are some peripherals and accessories I didn't keep. Jeremy says, my third PC was an AMD Duron 750 based unit built with parts from Fry's Electronics in a used case. Jack says, AMD processors were good for build your own machines. Yes, they were. But at the computer shop, we built a lot of AMD systems as well because we had clients that wanted to save money over retail stores. And we were able to put an AMD system together and beat the Intel prices. In a lot of cases, they didn't need the Intel system. They were just doing like basic office use, like Word, Excel, just printing documents. So a lot of times they didn't need the Intel system, and they needed a number of computers, so they'd come to us and we could get them an AMD based system cheaper. I can't say we always used the greatest of motherboards, but yeah, Jack says if you could find a decent motherboard, yeah, some of the motherboards we used were probably not that great. I mean, they worked, but I don't know if I'd say they worked well. Some of them were probably PC chips. Jeremy said the used case was a now famous brand, but he doesn't remember which one. It was better suited for a slot one system. Yeah, that Inwin A500, at least the time I bought it, I think the way they had the things, I think they might have revised it at some point to change how the power supply fan blew air. But yeah, it was probably really suited more for a slot 1 system or something that, because I think it was blowing air into the, I think that InWin came with a power supply that was blowing air into the case, because it was weird. Although, maybe I never realized it. Maybe my A500's power supply, the fan got put on wrong at the factory, now that I think about it. So, maybe I had a defective power supply and didn't realize it till years later, or a year or two later. Jeremy said, my Duron build had a PC chips 810 LMR. Dave says, my first was the 128K Mac. Second Mac was the 2SI. Third was the G3 iMac Graphite. And Dave still has the third, the Graphite. Oh, second was an SE30. Oh, and Dave had a Sony CRT. Very nice match. Jeremy had a 14-inch Sony Trinitron until he got a 15-inch compact CRT. Jack had a NEC Multisync 17 for my 7300. Yeah, the Sony Trinitrons were great. Ah, Jack's never had a Sony. Gutbomb has a Mitsubishi branded NEC Multisync. Nice. Ah, Jeremy says if I can get the correct GPU, I want to try Linux on my 5.1 like Sean did. Oh, nice. Yeah, the NEC Mitsubishi monitors are just as good as Trinitrons. Yeah, they made some good monitors. All right, later, Foxhound. Right, let's see here. Oh, Jeremy's got the GeForce 9500 GT, but it's the PC version. Whoop. Uh, the chat keeps jumping. I'm trying to catch up on chat here. Dave says, I had the biggest Mitsubishi tube TV. Think it was a 46-inch. Great picture, weighed a ton. My young son has it. Yeah. Woohoo! I can't imagine how many people it would have been needed to carry that thing. Yeah, Jeremy's asking, did you need a forklift to move it? Dave says 2 men and a boy to lift it. Lol. Yep. Yeah, Jack says my complaint about built yourself PCs was always reliability. Yep, that's for sure. Yep, Jeremy says, yep, in when the motherboard tray slid out at the back, the power supply was mounted sideways. Yes. All right, good night, Francois. All right, I caught up with chat. All right, let's get more caps out of this board. Because it is, oh, it's 10:45, and well, I've gotten a decent way through them, but I don't know. This board might have to come back on the stream next week too, because there are a lot of caps on this board. All right, let me see if I can kind of get through the next row of caps maybe fairly quickly without like going too fast. Why is there cap like? Oh, yep, it fell out of the board. I probably desoldered one and it fell out. Yeah, I'm trying to remove them in an order that makes sense, but that doesn't always work, especially as I keep flipping the board front to back to get them out. Now, once I get these caps out, I might try replacing the austic crystal. I would be curious to know, with those caps removed, so that none of them would be backwards. Now, it may not be the most stable without any caps, but I was kind of curious if it might attempt to power up. Well, but I'll have to replace that crystal. Although I'm not sure if we'll get there tonight, but I'm going to try to. If I can get through this row of capacitors that is on this last row of memory chips, then I think there's actually a chance I can get the rest of them off the board fairly quickly. Because the most densely populated capacitor spots were around the memory chips. So let's see if I can't double time this. Oh, oh yeah, these two capacitors have the extra solder. Wait, if I. All right, this board did come with some RAM. I removed it thinking that it could have been contributing to the short on the 12-volt rail. So if anyone's wondering why there's no RAM in the board, I removed it. I do have it. I will obviously have to put some RAM back in it to test it, but I figured I'd put it in after a recap, or put it back in when I was ready to test it. If I get this board working, I think it had like 16K of RAM in it. I think I have enough. I think I have just enough 4116s to that I could fully populate the board if they're all good. Although if the spare ones I have are good, they're going back in computer, and I'll put the ones that weren't originally in computer but are currently in computer in this board. Reason why they're out of computer and in my spare chips bin at the moment is since I don't have a DRAM tester. Floopy gave me some tested 4116s that I could just put them in computer during the first round of troubleshooting so that I would be able to rule out that it was a memory problem causing the issues. Yes. Fun fact: the edge of solder wick is hot after you've used it. All right. All right. One more cap on that row, and then I think we are in. We'll be in the final stretch. Oh, I think. Oh, actually, I realized there's another one of these tantalum capacitors that was trying to hide from me. There it is. I'm going to add solder to that one. while I'm at it here, I'm going to try to pull the. There's like pins from a socket that broke. I'll go ahead and try to remove those pins here. Just so that I don't have to worry about them getting in the way. Run my ceramic tweezers. And then I can actually wish ceramic tweezers had a better grip on them, but at least I can put the tweezers on the part because the ceramic won't wick the heat away. And then hopefully pull the pin. All right. Let's try this. Just get some of the solder out of these vias. And then maybe I can pull them through. Now, maybe I can. Texas, I could get a suite at the convention center for VCF Midwest for only 1,500, 1424 a night. Oh wow, that's a um genuine bargain for like millionaires, maybe. There we go. Hopefully, I don't have to replace all the sockets on this board like I will on computer. I will have to replace this socket that plastic shell broke on. It was like that in the listing, so I knew I would have to remove these pins. I'm just going to go ahead and do that now to hopefully keep from shorting something that I don't short. Oh, oops. Just realized something. And we had our customary isopropyl alcohol spill of the evening. I desoldered the wrong two rows. I have to, yeah, desoldered one row of two different sockets. So, which I guess is somewhat good. That means that, oh, some of the pins fell out now that I actually desoldered the correct side. Jeremy says 470 for flight and a room for 4 nights. Seems like a good price. Jack says, yes, there are way better hotel rates if only they were on the correct side of the freeway. Sort of, sort of a pain to get from the Woodfield Mall side to the other side. You won't be walking. Oh, I'm not familiar with the Chicago area at all. Jeremy says only a 2 hour flight for him. That's not too bad. Yeah, I don't know what PSA would do for PCBs. Could be anywhere from the, oh, that's nice, sir, next to, sir, we need you to step over into this other room here. Come on. One last pin. And then I don't have to worry about accidentally shorting anything. There we go. Excellent. All right. So that 4116 broken socket is out of the board. All right. So now I don't have to worry about accidentally mashing pins together and potentially shorting something. Now, I do though, we'll have to resolder the one side of the socket that I did accidentally desolder. So let me do that real quick. Otherwise, I will potentially forget by the time I actually get to putting RAM in that socket, and then I will wonder why in the world it's not working. I just simply miscounted rows. There we go. All right. There we go. So we've got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 tantalums left. There's a chance I can get this done. At least the removal done. Not gonna leave much time for testing though. Well, I guess the important thing is that there won't be any tantalums on this board when I'm done that could potentially short out or go pop because they're in backwards. That's the thing. I don't know why someone would have installed tantalums on this board. Because they cost more than ceramics. Although, my best theory is that for some reason, I suspect someone was having a problem with this board, and I don't know if maybe they had a problem where the original ceramic capacitors got broken, or if someone in a misguided attempt to troubleshoot their board said, "Oh, you need to recap it." It's possible I may find that there's another problem. But anyways, for some reason, someone apparently tried to recap the board, and I'm going to presume that maybe they had the capacitors on hand and didn't realize that there was a difference between them. I mean, they could have, maybe used, they had them on hand and they, by accident, used them because maybe they had both ceramics and tantalums and maybe they picked the wrong bin. Also a chance that they went to go buy capacitors and they saw the tantalums and like, oh, these look like they're better capacitors. I'll order them because they're more expensive. That means they're better, right? I mean, someone somewhere has got to have thought that about tantalum capacitors. Oh, they're more expensive. That must mean they're better, right? Yep. Someone's got to have thought it. I think the bigger question is why did they do it? And I'm kind of afraid we'll figure that out when I try to power up the board. Although it is also possible that maybe they recapped it because they thought someone either someone told them, "Oh yeah, recapping fixes things like that," or maybe they watched a YouTube video like, "Oh well, this YouTuber recapping it fixed their board, so maybe it'll fix mine too." Um, it's possible that maybe the problem, which I don't know what the problem they were trying to fix is because the eBay listing didn't say, but maybe that crystal oscillator was like not making good contact to begin with because it like broke off like super easy. I just bent it up a little bit to get it out of the way of one of the tantalum capacitors, and it basically fell off the board. So it's possible that maybe someone thought, "Oh, well, recapping it'll fix it," and the whole problem might have been the crystal oscillator. So we'll see. Jack says, "Okay, booked a room for a reasonable rate that's cancelable. We'll keep looking to see if something opens up at the Renaissance." Yeah, you yeah. I've by the way, I've just if anyone's wondering, I've not made any plans to be at VCF Midwest this year. So would love to be there, but it's just not not going to happen this year. I will instead start earlier goals for VCF East and VCF Midwest next year. Or, well, I'll probably start them later this year, but for next year. So, Dave, I presume you look the same in person as you do on YouTube. You're not one of those YouTubers that has like a style that you a style for YouTube and then a separate style for in public. Ha ha ha. Oh yeah, fun fact, I usually when I'm out in public I wear a different hat. Although I'm fairly sure if you ran into me in public, you'd probably still uh probably would be more likely to recognize me even with my other hat that I wear in public. I'm probably not getting away from escaping you that easily. Jesse says, "What you see is what you get with me. I leave the marketing to the wife." Yeah. Uh, yeah. You. Yeah. You just basically would. Yeah. You'd see me, but I'd be wearing a different hat in public. It is still a flat cap, though. If anyone's wondering, it is a flat cap that I wear in public. So I mean, it's not a for anyone kind of imagining the Justin must wear like a Stetson in public. No, no, A, no, and B, no. That would be only on April Fool's Day or Retro Repair Roundup, and that would also require me to find a Stetson in a thrift shop. Yeah. Oh, believe me, I do occasionally look if I see a Western hat in the thrift shop just to see if it is like even remotely my size for Retro Repair Roundup purposes, and most of the time they're not. Actually, almost always they're not my size. Jeremy says my last trip to VCF Midwest cost about $800. Most of that was fuel. My current vehicle should cost about 170 total for fuel. Oh, yeah. Folks are asking what Jeremy was driving, and it was a 95 Chevy G10. Ooh, I've almost got all the capacitors off. Yay! Which I'll make sure there shouldn't be any shorts after I've got them all off, but I'll double check. That would be the cruelest of ironies. These two here. Although you may have only seen one capacitor because I think one of these just fell off the board last time I was looking at it. So there's actually only one capacitor, but there should have been two here. And then I think there's one more, and then I'll spot check that I got all the capacitors off. Need to come off. All right, those are off. Is that really the last one there? Yeah, I guess it is. All right. We got one more. And there we go. I think that's all of them. Yeah, and I'm going to do something about that crystal. Jeremy's hoping to drive his Subaru Legacy this time. Ah, Jeremy says his in-laws told him to keep it in spite of the ownership issues. Oh, I think it's in like New Hampshire or something that once a car's like 20 or 25 years old, you can just register it. Brandon Bishop was mentioning that while we were at VCF East. I mean, I don't know the particulars of how that works, and I'm sure you have to be a New Hampshire resident, and it probably has something to do with their what were they, the live free or die state or something like that. I mean, and I'm fairly sure the state probably still at least checks to make sure it's not on a stolen car database or something like that. But like, yeah, it's like once the car gets so old, it's like the state recognizes that yeah, it's an old car, and just yeah, we'll let you title it even if you don't have, or we'll let you register it even if you don't have the title at that point because it's an old car. Oh, okay, Jeremy, I don't think you have to explain anymore because I I suspect I know at least enough to realize the uh, the rest of the story. In fact, it might even be somewhat like Virginia, where the state will charges you sales and use tax when you register the car. And if you buy the car, that tax is based on how much you paid for the car. But if you're given the car, the state can charge that tax on, yeah, the market value of the car. Go, Virginia. Yeah, I don't remember how Virginia determines the. I don't remember what value they use if you're given the car, but they do. Yeah, they do charge you something. Ah, okay. Jeremy says it's similar here in Arkansas. Okay, yeah. So need to explain no more. It's yeah, we've got similar laws in Virginia. Jesse says most states stop carrying once the car reaches 20 or 25 years old. Jack's asking if you were the box of wheels for my new desk chair that arrived 3 months before the rest of the chair, where would you be? Well, don't ask me, Jack. I'm famous for losing things in my basement. But if I had bought the chair and the wheels arrived 3 months before the rest of the chair, I would probably have put the wheels. Yeah, I would probably find the wheels in my basement underneath a computer that had been in that same spot for longer than I had the wheels in my possession. I mean, just saying. Did I ultrasonic clean the clone? Well, I attempted to, but it left some residue. I have all the capacitors out, and I did put the crystal from the Apple II Plus in here. Now, if we have clock problems, I'm probably going to have to replace those two transistors with these two transistors because the way this clock circuit works, the crystal needs to be matched with the transistors, and I'm not sure. I'm not sure if these two transistors on this clone board are going to be a close enough match for the crystal that came off an actual Apple II Plus board. Which, if you're wondering why I stole the crystal off that board, this is the Apple II Plus that has the borked slots that are shorting each other, and I started to try to remove them, and I like lifted a whole bunch of pads, so I kind of been using it. I pulled a bunch of parts off of it, and in the effort of trying to test this board, well, I borrowed more parts from it. Jack says, I'm fairly sure the wheels are somewhere in my vintage project room. Thomas is asking, is there a 22 picofarad cap by the crystal? No, there is not. However, there is also not on the Apple II Plus board because Apple did it differently. Yes, Jeremy say, yeah, yeah. Super is not owned by Toyota, but they do. Well, not well, not large stake. I think yeah, Jeremy's right. Toyota has a small stake in Subaru. Probably part of their deal to partner. Toyota probably has a small stake in the company. Dave says, wait long enough, Jack. The wheels will become vintage too. Good one. All right, let me go grab a power supply and RAM. Oh, wait. Let's do it this way. Okay, so I'm not going to. Well, I am going to have to go grab the power supply, but let. All right. Actually, no, I'll put the RAM that was originally on here. And I was about to put that missing ROM in, but I just realized that that is the F8 ROM and is absolutely necessary for the system to boot. So actually, I will have to put that in. All right. So ah, okay. Okay. So we are going to borrow the F8 ROM from this Apple II Plus because I'm pretty sure the rest of the ROMs on this board came out of an Apple II Plus as well. Now, this may not work that great because there's like absolutely no capacitors on this board. But something tells me that an Apple II might. I mean, we might still see some signs of life even without capacitors. Ugh, delaminated touchscreen on the infotainment system. Great, we have the Walker's Edition power supply, and there's the 8 RAM chips that were in this board originally. Well, my biggest gripe with my Subaru's stereo is that it didn't magically grow Bluetooth capabilities. I'm, of course, joking because that's an unrealistic expectation. Yeah, it'd be nice if it like had Bluetooth in it or something, but oh, what can I say? It actually still plays CDs. It's like 15 years old, and it still plays CDs. I mean, it does occasionally skip, but it still plays CDs, so well, I can't really complain. And at least I didn't actually pay for the factory option of a dock connector for my phone because, well, that that became obsolete quicker than the CD player is becoming obsolete. And my CD player can play MP3s, but not AAC files or anything fancier. Yeah, Jeremy says mine has Bluetooth, but yeah, but it's useless if you can't use the touchscreen. Yeah. Yeah, I quite literally bought. Uh, yeah, I think mine is the base model Forester from the year it came out. Now, granted, it has the automatic transmission, which I know was a turnoff to some car aficionados, but what I wanted. So yes, it has an automatic transmission, and I had them add the fog lights, and I installed the tweeters. But yeah, it's like that doesn't have many factory installed options, and quite honestly, I think I partially credit that for the longevity of the car. Although maybe one of these days I'll put a third party head end in it to at least have a little more functionality than a 15-year-old CD player. Ooh, replacement screen is north of $400. Yikes. Jeremy's has a CVT with a manual mode including flappy paddles. Oh, mine's the 4-speed automatic. CVT was not an option in the model year I bought mine. All right, let's see what this does. I have power to the Apple II Plus power supply. Oh, maybe first, let me double check that there's no shorts. I can get the power connector out. All right, let's double check for shorts. You all thought you might be getting a free early Independence Day fireworks show. Well, I caught my potential mistake there. So sorry. I mean, you still might get fireworks. Okay, there are no shorts on the board. All right. 3, 2, 1. Okay. Um. Oh, I just realized there's no character ROM in this thing. So I don't know what we're going to get on the screen. Oh, wait a minute. Well, that could be a good sign. Quick, someone scan that. See if that's a valid QR code. Yeah, signs of life. It probably would help if I installed a character ROM. All right. That is probably a good sign that we have a clock, considering we had a video image. All right, let's see what it does with the character ROM. Oh. Um. Hi, Foxhound. Yeah, the video circuit's working. Something tells me that. Oh, okay, that was not a hot chip. That was just me attempting to stab myself with the speaker connector. Okay. I Okay, this could be a we don't have enough capacitors. Oh, wait a minute. We have a Retro Tech Chris. Hi, Chris. RAM's updating, maybe. The RAMs are getting warm. It's, now, the thing is, there are like hardly any capacitors on this board, so that could actually be a problem. I may have to install capacitors. But there also could be bad RAM. But that is definitely a good sign. Yeah, that's actually a good sign that we actually probably have a clock. And oh, actually, maybe some of these chips are not seated fully. Unfortunately, I wish I had one of the diagnostic ROMs, but I have stared at the documentation to try to figure out what adapter I would need to be able to jam a ROM into this board, or even a 2 plus board. And I don't know why the internet makes it so hard to figure out how to put like a 2716 into this board, but about all I come up with is the reactive micro page for a ROM replacement that you have to send them the image and they'll write it to the thing. Or you pay for the one that's like absurdly expensive and you can program it yourself. Is this RAM known working? No, it is not. Thomas says put a 2532 in it. Well, I do not have a 2532. That's the problem. I was trying to figure out if I could. Retrotech Chris says, "Ooh, well, that's lovely." I was trying to figure out if I could adapt something to the pinout easily so that I could just write a ROM and run it because I don't have any 2532s, and I don't think I've got a programmer that will program 2532s. Yeah, I'm getting some video. This is the RAM that came in this board. It is not known working, but remember, there are no capacitors on this board. Jack says the RAM is a known unknown. Actually, this whole thing is a known unknown. Except the Tantalum capacitors. Those were a known. Why? Why did you put Tantalums in this board? Yeah, Jeremy says a video signal is a very nice thing to get back working. Yes. I mean, I could very quickly because there's no way I could probably install enough capacitors on this board in 10 minutes to make a difference. You know, I think I've got an idea for Tuesday's stream. How about we continue with this board? That could be a fun stream. If I can find the a way to make an adapter to use a 2732 in place of a 2532. Unfortunately, I think that does require some like level or logic shifters, but that might be why. Wait a minute. Hold please while I look at some adapters Sloopy sent me. Oh, let me set these on my bench. I'll look at the Retro Innovations website and see what those adapt. Maybe those are adapting to a 2532 pinout or something compatible. Yeah, I could. Yeah, maybe we could totally look at this board some more on Tuesday because I've got the because we need to put the capacitors in it because even if it works without them, it won't work well without them. Let me take a quick peek at the Apple II Plus 2E troubleshooting and repair guide that I grabbed from archive.org. Luckily, there were like, or no, I archive.org only lets you check it out. I found another site that actually had the PDF available. Okay, so if we were trying to troubleshoot category, system won't boot, garbage on screen, page 67. It says it could be a bad F8 ROM or the CPU is not activating the ROM. Or we could have a bad 367. Hmm. I am noticing signs of rework on the CPU's socket, so I think more investigation might need to be done there. Jack says, I wonder how many people back in the day brought their unauthorized Apple II clone into an authorized Apple repair shop looking for help. I don't know. But if it was just an Apple authorized repair center, they might have actually tried to help. If it was like an Apple store. Oh, wait, there probably weren't Apple stores back then. Actually, some of them might very well have helped. All right, so I think this is where I'm going to stop for tonight because I do know there is some crud on the board that probably needs to be cleaned off. I don't think it's gross. Well, I don't think it's conductive, although I did smell a little bit of it. It sort of smells like the cleaning fluid for my ultrasonic cleaner, so it just might be an incomplete rinse. Chris says, You can't stop. I just got here. Well, I have to work tomorrow, Chris. I gotta go into work. Yeah. Oh, Chris was working 14 hours today. Good thing I bill by the hour. Yeah, I don't bill by the hour, so I think I'd like to get to work normal time so I can leave normal time because I'm not billing by the hour and I don't get to like charge premium hours. All right, thanks, Foxhound. Yeah, we'll get this working. Thomas says Radio Shack used to work on apples and pets in the day. Yep. So yeah, I think Tuesday we may. I think Tuesday sounds like a good day to continue working on this. We might do the IBM portable personal computer Thursday. But yeah, So I guess Tuesday we'll get the capacitors back in this board. Probably look at a couple of rework spots that might need to be retouched. I can definitely see clear signs the CPU socket's been reworked. So considering we're having CPU trouble, in fact, I'm actually tempted to just pull the CPU out here. Oh, actually, there's something wrong with the CPU socket. Guess what we're going to do Tuesday? We will be replacing that CPU socket and the capacitors because I don't think that CPU socket is making good contact with the board and is otherwise borked. I think whoever reflowed the socket probably got solder into the pins of the CPU and it's still probably making bad contact. Yeah, the CPU went crack. Yeah, you heard it. I uh, and the thing that you might have not noticed was I was trying to lift up between the CPU and the plastic socket, and the whole thing was lifting up off the board. I probably just cracked. In fact, it wouldn't surprise me if that cracked a couple solder joints on the CPU socket. Yeah, someone's reworked that CPU socket. I have a feeling the CPU is probably soldered into the socket because someone probably reflowed it with the CPU in there. And there's a good chance I'm not getting that CPU out. But yet, I think the socket needs replaced. Although, I will give this one shot here. In case it's just kind of corroded into the socket. But yeah, I suspect the CPU is not going to come out at all. Oh, no, no, no. That CPU is in that socket. I bet whoever reflowed that socket, probably the same person that replaced the capacitors and got like super excess amounts of solder on some of them. I bet they got solder up into the pins of that CPU and it's probably not coming out of its socket. And I'm wondering if that was the whole problem on the board. Normally these 6502 processors are super reliable, but yeah, I think it's probably been soldered into the socket, which is just a shame. It's probably the original one because it's dated 1980. Although a lot of these chips are 82, so it may be an old one. But yeah. All right. Well, I'm about to wrap it up, Jeremy, so you probably won't miss too much. But yeah, feel free to catch the last bit. I have been known to been peer pressured into an extra 30 minutes. But yeah, this thing's a bit train wrecky, and yeah, I'm with you. I think the CPU socket needs to be removed and inspected, and if the CPU will then come out of the socket, then we'll test it. But if it doesn't come out of the socket, well, I mean, at least the good news is I do have at least one spare 6502. We can borrow the one from the Apple II Plus board here. And luckily, if the problem wasn't the CPU, but was like one of the transceiver chips, luckily I've got some spares. So, I mean, I do have some chips, and I may have a few more stashed away somewhere. But yeah, I think Tuesday we'll continue working on this. In the meantime, I may at least scrub this down with isopropyl alcohol this weekend just to get that crud off the board. But other than that, that will probably be the only thing I do to it this weekend is just go ahead and get the whatever this residue is off the board so we're not dealing with it next week. Because that may take a little bit of scrubbing to get off the board. That way we can just get to component installation and replacement. So yeah. Oh, Chris was multitasking, didn't do a good job at saying hey to everyone. Well, we're glad you popped in, Chris. It's been a good stream. We got the capacitors out. Did find which one was shorted, but got all of them out because someone put tantalums where ceramics belong. So next time we'll have to actually put the capacitors in and replace the CPU socket. So until then, I'll ask everyone to please smash that like button to let the YouTube algorithm know that you like the motherboard wars. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so that you'll be notified when I go live next week, including with the motherboard repairer video. And hey, leave a comment. I know we had a little bit of chat discussion about first and second computers. So, hey, if you're watching this video, leave a comment in the chat about what your first computer was. That'd be pretty cool to read. So, no matter, was it custom built, pre-built, platform, even if it was like the PDP-11 at your college and you had to program it with punch cards, hey, I'd like to hear what your first computer was. I think it'd be cool. Who knows? I may use some of those as suggestions for things that might be cool to work on in the future. So until then, I'd like to thank everyone for hanging out with me in the chat. I would like to thank the people who gave coffee tips tonight, and I'm going to actually, so that I don't forget anyone, because that would be exactly what my brain would do if I don't look. Let's see here. Make sure, in no particular order, we had Jesse, Gut Bomb, Jack, and David for coffee tips for some eBay regret fun. So thank you all again for those coffee tips. You can look forward to some great eBay regrets. Hopefully not Radar Rat Race, but I will definitely go back and look at the games that I believe Gut Bomb suggested that are actually good. And anyways, I think with that, I would like to wish everyone a great rest of your day. Take care and God bless. Computerized Start is brought to you by my awesome patrons on Patreon and by your tips and memberships on Ko-fi. These and other channel supporters make my live streams possible. You too can become a channel supporter with tiers starting at just $1. Don't forget to smash that like button. And if you've liked what you've seen, subscribe and turn on notifications so that you don't miss the next video or live stream. And as always, thank you for all your support. I hope to see you next time. And until then, take care.